Tense day on Capitol Hill. Lawmakers clashed on the reach of the FBI. Now, Republicans pretty much proved, beyond a reasonable doubt, at least in my mind, that the FBI grossly outstepped their bounds, while Democrats justified it, even suggesting that the agency didn't go far enough, especially when it came to getting Donald Trump. But the craziest thing was that this panel couldn't even agree on basic actions and decisions, even after courts have already issued rulings on it.
Director Wray, are you or your staff or auxiliaries weaponizing the FBI against the American people?
Absolutely not.
Oh, well, that settles it then. Look, if you tuned into this dumpster fire today, you're probably as shocked as I am. The FBI doesn't think they did anything wrong, ever. In fact, they actually think they're doing an incredible job across the board.
I want to talk about the sheer breadth and impact of the work the FBI's 38,000 employees are doing each and every day, because the work the men and women of the FBI do to protect the American people goes way beyond the one or two investigations that seem to capture all the headlines. The FBI arrested more than 20,000 violent criminals and child predators. That's an average of almost 60 bad guys taken off the streets per day, every day. We've already seized hundreds of kilograms of fentanyl this year alone, stopping deadly drugs from reaching their intended destinations in states all over the country and saving countless American lives. And that is just scratching the surface. The men and women of the FBI work tirelessly every day to protect the American people from what is really a staggering array of threats.
Yeah, that's your job. You're supposed to protect the people of the United States. But we didn't haul Director Wray up to the Hill to talk about the good he thinks he's doing. We, the people, hauled him up there to get answers about the things that they're massively screwing up. And nothing was more stark in perception than Mike Johnson's question.
Can you define what disinformation is?
What I can tell you is that our focus is not on disinformation, broadly speaking.
Well, wait a minute. Yes, it is. Wait a minute.
Can I answer the question?
You can in a minute. Your star witness said in the litigation, Elvis Chan, who's in charge of this, said they do it on the basis of disinformation. We need a definition of what that is.
Our focus is on malign foreign disinformation, that is foreign hostile actors who engage in covert efforts to abuse our social media platforms, which is something that is not seriously in dispute.
I have to stop you for time. That's not accurate. You need to read this court opinion because you're in charge of enforcing it.
Mr. Wray, what's 2 + 2? Pancakes, sir. That's basically what we got out of this. They won't speak about the reason they censored American free speech. No, can't do that. This was the common theme, which obviously continued when California Congressman Kevin Kiley brought up labeling parents as domestic terrorists.
So we had an investigation of parents. We had a sweeping mobilization of federal power against the most protected core First Amendment activity, the right of citizens to speak and petition their government on the most important of issues, the education of their children. And you are telling me that the entire basis for that, there was no evidence to support it.
Well, I want to be clear. We, the FBI, as I said, were not and did not investigate people for exercising.
Should Attorney General Garland rescind the memo?
I'm sorry?
Should Attorney General Garland rescind that memo?
Oh, that's a question for the Attorney General.
Do you believe he should?
Again, that's a question for the Attorney General.
Would you?
It's unbelievable. No apology, no back. They don't do anything. Why? Because they don't care. They can't get fired. It's just simply business as usual. Thank God for Congressman Jim Jordan was able to catch Wray unable to answer another question about the agency's requesting information from a private bank, Bank of America, about Americans who lawfully purchased firearms.
Did the FBI ask financial institutions to turn over their customers' debit and credit card purchase history in the Washington, D.C. area for January 5th and 6th, 2021?
I don't know the answer to that as I sit here right now.
Well, we do, because Bank of America gave us this email from the FBI to Bank of America. To recap our morning call, we are prepared to action the following threshold. Customers transacting debit card, credit card, Washington, D.C. purchases between 1/5/21, 1/6/21. That's scary enough. But then the next bullet point's even more scary. Any any historical, capital letters, all capitals, any historical purchase of a firearm.
Again, I don't have the full sequence of the back and forth. You've got one, looks like you've got one email that I haven't seen before here. So I don't know that I have the full exchange that this.
Well, does this email trouble you as much as it does members of the Judiciary Committee?
I mean, it should disturb everybody. A bank can just go, hey, you know what? We're going to give the government private transaction records. Nope. If you bank with Bank of America, I would be getting out of there faster than anything. Wray also struggled to answer simple questions that Jordan asked regarding the FBI spying on Catholics.
You're referring to the Richmond product, which was a single product by a single field office, which as soon as I found out about it, I was aghast and ordered it withdrawn and removed from FBI systems.
You were aghast, then why won't you let us talk to the people who put it together?
We are working on finishing an internal review into what happened
We have
there.
to wait, we, the Congress, and the American people have to wait until you do an internal review. It's not a criminal investigation going on here, an internal review before we can talk to the people who wrote this.
Gassed. Well, everything should be fine then, right? I mean, like, what was the basis for this investigation? Was anybody charged with anything? Was there anything to initiate it? Who knows? Probably nothing. In fact, what was the basis for most of their investigations? Even the Inspector General noted that almost a third, over 1 million FISA warrants were obtained improperly or illegally.
How many illegal FISA queries have occurred under your leadership of the FBI?
Well, there are reports that have come out with different numbers about compliance incidents.
More than 1 million illegal ones? Because that's what the Inspector General said. The Inspector General said that in the 3.4 million of these queries, more than 1 million were in error. Do you have any basis to disagree with that assessment by the Inspector General?
I'm not sure actually that's a correct characterization of the Inspector General's findings on that.
The internet will remind you of that in moments. But let's now go to what the court said. The court said it was over 200,000 that have occurred on your watch. Do you have any basis to disagree with that assessment?
Again, I don't have the number as I sit here right now. What I can
Seems
tell
like
you,
a number you should know. How many times the FBI is breaking the law under your watch?
Okay, so somewhere between 200,000 and 1 million people had their Fourth Amendment rights violated by the FBI, the one agency tasked with law enforcement at the highest level in this government. Unbelievable. This is maddening. Wray didn't answer anything. He doesn't know anything. He didn't say anything of any substance. No one question that you would think, not one, that the director of the FBI could or should have been able to answer. This is insane. Who has been fired for breaking the law? That question was asked.
Who has been held accountable or fired as a consequence of the FBI using the FISA process as their creepy personal snoop machine?
there have been instances in which individuals have had disciplinary action and who are no longer with it. I can't get into it here.
Zero. That's why. And the one person who was fired under Donald Trump got his pension back because these bureaucrats protect each other. They circle the wagon. It is such garbage. My takeaway from this whole thing is that Wray is, and I'm being gentle here, one of three things. He's incompetent, he's uninformed, or he's corrupt. Any of these should disqualify him from that job. The unilateral opinion from both left and right is that no one is happy with the FBI. No one. The left wants more prosecution of Trump, and the right wants more freedom, or at least to be protected by the fundamental document that governs our country. I mean, it's unbelievable. Maybe just try investigating actual crimes. How can the primary law enforcement agency in America have unwarranted bank records from gun owners and face ID people from January 6th, but call me a domestic terrorist for being mad that my kids were shown an erection in second grade? That happened. Yet they still don't have any answers to things like, Jeffrey Epstein's client list. I mean, Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein are the first people ever to ever be convicted of trafficking children to no one. How about SCOTUS leaker? Don't tell me you can't find that one out. What about the manifesto of the Tennessee trans shooter? Can we get some answers on that one? Huh? Maybe who brought an illegal drug into the most secure building in the world? No. They brought up the January 6th pipe bomber at the DNC. They have video, they have everything, yet they can't seem to find that guy. But don't worry, they'll arrest Grandma for taking a selfie in the Capitol when she was invited in by Capitol Police. I don't know, maybe how about some answers on Gal Luft, a whistleblower charged for FARA violations for working in the same capacity at the same company as Hunter Biden and James Biden, who, by the way, had no FARA registration also. Why weren't they charged too? No answers. I'll tell you, the answer to all these questions and more is very simple. The FBI is no longer a law enforcement arm. They're a political action machine, weaponized to protect the Biden syndicate and take out anyone who threatens them. It's like the fox guarding the henhouse. The people enforcing the laws break them and nothing happens. And then, you know what? We launched an investigation into ourselves, and after a thorough investigation, we decided that we did nothing wrong. Nothing made this more apparent than Wray's answer to Wisconsin Republican Tom Tiffany.
Did Joe Biden take payments from Burisma or any other foreign companies as vice president, president, or private citizen Biden?
As you may know, there is an ongoing investigation being led by the U.S. Attorney in Delaware, Mr. Weiss, appointed by President Trump in the last administration, that our Baltimore field office is working with, and I would refer you to him as to what, if anything, can be shared.
So the president is under investigation.
I'm not going to confirm or speak to who is or isn't under investigation for what. I'm simply going to tell you.
So he's not under investigation?
I didn't say that either.
Ruh-roh, little slip up there. Well, joining me now to discuss is that man, Wisconsin Congressman and Judiciary Committee member Tom Tiffany. Congressman, this was one of the best exchanges of the day. Well, he is, but he's not, and he's only under investigation when it suits me not answering things.
Yeah, the director seemed to be a fish out of water today. If you notice, Carl, he was always using the fallback of, I work with 38,000 of the finest people in America,
sure.
And those frontline FBI agents, they do a good job. They do a lot of good work, and he rattled that off. Our problem is with the leadership. It's been with the leadership when James Comey was there, and it's the leadership that he's providing at this point. That is the problem.
Yeah, well, that is fundamentally the problem. It's the same thing with the military, too. Nobody has a problem with the troops. Everybody supports the troops. But it's this woke ideology leadership that everybody has a problem with. But Congressman Matt Gaetz asked the question on everyone's mind, and this is the agency protecting the Bidens, I think. He said, look at this and see how he responded.
I'm sitting here with my father. I will make certain that between the man sitting next to me and every person he knows and my ability to forever hold a grudge, that you will regret not following my direction. I am sitting here waiting for the call with my father. Sounds like a shakedown, doesn't it, Director?
I'm not going to get into commenting on that.
You seem deeply uncurious about it, don't you? Almost suspiciously uncurious. Are you protecting the Bidens?
Absolutely not. The FBI does not and has no interest in
you won't answer the question about whether or not that's a shakedown, and everybody knows why you won't answer it.
I mean, Congressman, he couldn't have laid it out any better.
So what Representative Gaetz was referencing was the Chinese businessman that Hunter Biden was texting and telling him, hey, you better send the money soon because the big guy is right next to me. I asked a question in regards to Burisma, and we know that story quite well. And this is ultimately about Joe Biden, right? We talk about Hunter Biden and his laptop and all the rest, but this is ultimately about Joe Biden selling our foreign policy, selling American foreign policy. It was simply corrupt, and they won't answer the questions in regards to this. The walls are starting to close in regards to the Bidens. And we need to continue to do our job in Congress, like we're doing today, and ask those questions and continue to show the information to the American people, because I think it's starting to burn in, Carl, to more of the American people.
Well, Congressman, the last thing is, like, look, we can sit here and, I mean, look, you had some incredible questions today, you and all your colleagues. However, we can ask these questions and I can dunk on them all day long on TV. But at the end of the day, what power does Congress have at this point to do more? I mean, this guy shouldn't be running a hot dog stand, let alone the FBI.
Yeah, that's a question I get from constituents all the time, Carl. When are you guys going to do something about this? So what we have is the power of the purse, but we also have FISA at the end of the year. FISA is up for reauthorization. They want it in the worst way. They want it in the worst way because that's how they did. That's how they did Russia collusion with President Trump. And they want full FISA reauthorization. We need to stand tough on that and make sure that, at a minimum, there are reforms to FISA, or perhaps we don't reauthorize it at all.
Yeah, I don't see an upside. They're going to claim that it helped them with some terrorist thing somewhere, but like the upside is that they had a sitting president investigated and spent $50 million taxpayer dollars. Congressman Tom Tiffany, thank God for people like you up there, sir.